Tonight, Live Nation in the hot seat, accused of an illegal monopoly. The U.S. Justice Department suing.
That conduct is anti-competitive and illegal.
What it means for artists and for fans.
Welcome to the W.
Plus, courting women's basketball. Toronto Nets, a WNBA team.
We're so excited for the girls and women of Canada.
And a medical breakthrough. AI helps make a rare diagnosis.
We're not replacing the doctors, we're helping them with some of these digital tools.
Dress code in Quebec, going to great lengths to wear shorts. And a hero's homecoming.
The emotions are overwhelming. The event is overwhelming.
The unknown soldier returning to Newfoundland and Labrador.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Reporting tonight, Todd Vanderhayden.
Good evening. If you've ever been to a concert, you know how expensive ticket prices can be. And in recent years, costs have skyrocketed. Now a major lawsuit against the world's biggest concert promoter, Live Nation, which is Ticketmaster's parent company. It puts on concerts for top names in music. But the U.S. government wants to break it up, saying the company has illegally maintained a monopoly, unfairly dominated the live entertainment industry, pressuring artists and threatening rivals. The result, higher ticket prices and stifled competition. That's according to the U.S. Department of Justice. Live Nation is also Canada's top concert promoter, so the implications could be huge. Our Washington bureau chief, CTV's Joy Melvin, reports.
Call it the Taylor Swift effect. After the ticketing crash that kicked off her 2022 Eras Tour left fans fuming,
I didn't get tickets to the Taylor Swift concert.
That led to a congressional investigation a year ago. Now the U.S. Justice Department and 30 states are suing, accusing Ticketmaster and Live Nation, the concert promoter, of illegally abusing its monopoly power by suffocating competition and gouging consumers.
We allege that Live Nation has illegally monopolized markets across the live concert industry in the United States for far too long. It is time to break it up.
After a merger in 2010, Live Nation and Ticketmaster have had a lock on artists and music venues, controlling 60% of concert promotions at 265 venues in North America. The lawsuit refers to a Ticketmaster tax. You know, that long list of added fees.
Convenience fees, platinum fees, Price Master fees.
No price gouging!
Fans have complained for years. Just ask Teresa Caldwell, a Swiftie, who flew to Sweden with her friends to see their idol. It was simply cheaper.
Toronto prices are insane. In the nosebleeds was $3,000. In Sweden, we got tickets, we got floor seats for $500 Canadian.
She welcomes the U.S. legal action, and while Canada's Competition Bureau says it's aware of the lawsuit, it won't confirm it's investigating.
We always know that more competition is more choice for Canadians. We're going to be taking a very focused look on that.
Live Nation calls the accusations baseless and absurd.
We fundamentally disagree with all of these allegations.
Live Nation blames ticket prices on rising production costs and online ticket scalping. But the Justice Department is determined to break up the company in a legal battle that will likely take years. Todd?
CTV's Joy Melvin in Washington. An update tonight from Vancouver on major pharmacy chain London Drugs targeted by cyber criminals. The chain says hackers have now followed through on a threat to release confidential information after London Drugs refused to pay a ransom. Our BC bureau chief, Andrew Johnson, joins me now. Andrew.
Todd, the deadline came and went today for London Drugs to pay ransomware hackers Lockbit millions of dollars. Now the group has released hundreds of gigabytes of personal information onto the dark web.
The data was stolen in a cyber attack last month that forced the closure of all 79 London Drugs locations. Lockbit claimed responsibility this week and demanded $25 million. London Drugs said it was unwilling and unable to pay, and in a statement today adds, "We acknowledge that some of these files may contain some employee information. This is deeply distressing, and London Drugs is taking all available steps to mitigate any impacts from these criminal acts." The retailer says it does not believe customer information was compromised.
It could be things like salary information, disciplinary proceedings, drug testing in some cases where that's been carried out.
London Drugs is offering employees 2 years of identity theft protection and says it will be notifying those affected to inform them what personal information of theirs may no longer be private. Todd?
CTV's Andrew Johnson. Big news from the world of women's basketball. Canada will be getting its very own WNBA team, Toronto making it official today after teasing the news for the past 2 weeks. It will be the first franchise outside of the U.S., will be playing in about 2 years. And while the team still needs a name, there is already tons of excitement. CTV's Mike Walker has more.
Toronto, welcome to the W.
After much anticipation, it's official. The WNBA is coming to Toronto.
This team is Canada's team.
Kilmore Sports Ventures, led by Larry Tannenbaum, has been awarded the league's 14th franchise. Tannenbaum, who is also the chairman and minority owner of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, paid $115 million US for the team.
Our team will complete the pathway for women in this country. They can see that the sport they play, as girls and as women, is just as important and worth investing in.
Toronto has been on the WNBA's radar since the Raptors' 2019 championship run. Last year, the league sold out Scotiabank Arena for a preseason game.
I attended our Toronto game, and lots of people coming up to me and saying, "Thank you for making my dreams come true by bringing a WNBA game here." That's when I knew this is the right place as we're thinking about expansions.
Starting in 2026, the team's home court will be at the 8,700-seat Coca-Cola Coliseum, with occasional games played at Scotiabank Arena and in Montreal and Vancouver.
We want to use this team to elevate basketball in Canada.
Teresa Resch, who has spent a decade with the Raptors serving as Vice President of Operations and Player Development, named the team's president today.
The WNBA has never had a team internationally, and that comes along with a lot of very difficult details to work through that there is no precedent for. So it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Women's sports are gaining momentum. The PWHL inaugural season saw huge success with 3 Canadian teams. The WNBA is now tipping off its 28th season.
I think it's amazing that now female athletes are actually being recognized. And I feel like so many young girls and athletes can also relate and feel inspired.
A sentiment echoed by 2-time Canadian Olympian Tamara Tatham, who also coaches national youth basketball teams.
Young athletes are going to have role models in your country. I mean, we haven't had that in so long. It's something that you dream of, and it's something that's finally coming true.
Mike Walker, CTV News, Toronto.
The buzz about artificial intelligence is everywhere these days, how it's going to reshape many industries, and that includes medicine. Doctors at one leading children's hospital in Ontario are now using AI to help identify kids who may have rare diseases. CTV's Judy Trin has a closer look.
For years, the Wistaff family searched for the cause of developmental delays in their 10-year-old son, Anthony.
His balance is very poor, as well as being able to retain information and grasp everyday small task and knowledge was very challenging.
Doctors initially thought the delays were due to complications from surgery Anthony had as a baby. He was born with excessive fluid around his brain. After more than 100 visits to the hospital and being bounced from one specialist to another, Anthony was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder, Chung-Jansen syndrome.
There's about only 400 people in the world known with this disease right now as we speak. Anthony is actually the first one diagnosed with this disease in North America.
There are 6,000 rare genetic diseases. Anthony may not have been diagnosed if he wasn't flagged for testing through CHIO's AI algorithm. Called Think Rare, it took a team of researchers 3 years to develop.
It's kind of a nudge. We're not replacing the doctors, we're kind of helping them with some of these digital tools.
For this pilot project, researchers used the algorithm to analyze 10 years of data consisting of more than 250,000 patient records. Of that number, 15 people were flagged as having potential rare genetic diseases. AI is allowing CHIO doctors to diagnose rare disorders in kids much earlier so families can get help faster.
If you don't have a specific diagnostic code attached to you in the educational system, you're often not given enough resources.
CHIO doesn't want to profit off its technology. Instead, it wants to share its AI algorithm with other children's hospitals for free. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
A political rally in Mexico turned deadly. 9 people were killed, including a child, after a stage set up at the event collapsed. Witnesses say it happened in seconds, with video showing people running away or climbing out from under debris. The event was held in support of a presidential candidate ahead of elections next month. More than 120 people were injured. It's believed heavy winds may have been the cause. And that same storm system spawning the tornado in Mexico may have caused widespread destruction in central Texas. The city of Temple has declared a local emergency after a twister ripped up a hotel, a shopping mall, and other buildings. There are no reports, fortunately, of any serious injuries.
Nope, it's right there.
And some surreal scenes in Alliston, Ontario, just north of Toronto last night, as a massive funnel cloud was spotted during a major storm. Environment Canada issued warnings as hail and lightning hits parts of the province. And forecasters are warning of a very active upcoming hurricane season in the Atlantic Ocean.
The combination of record water temperatures in the Atlantic and a developing La Nina is really lining up to be an active season in the Atlantic.
Between 17 and 25 major storms are expected. 8 to 13 of them could become hurricanes. After Fiona's extensive damage in 2022, Nova Scotia says it's preparing for the upcoming season, which runs from June through November. To Quebec now, and the question, how short is too short when it comes to shorts? Students at a high school in Laval, a suburb north of Montreal, are angry. Dozens of female students were suspended for wearing shorts the school said violated the dress code. Our Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Beauchemin has the story.
Free the shorts, they chant, but students skipping class at Curie-Antoine Labelle High School say this protest is about so much more than short shorts.
I'm fighting for equality because we're in 2024. Boys and girls are supposed to be equal.
The school board says the rule is that all students' shorts must be knee-length or just above. When warmer weather hit this week and classroom temperatures soared, the school began a crackdown.
These are the shorts I was wearing, and then some lady told me that they were too short.
50 students, the vast majority girls, were told to go home or find ways to cover up exposed knees.
She said, your shorts give space for imagination. And then I was like, what adult comments that on a child's body?
The school sent a letter home reminding parents and students the dress code was developed with the collaboration of the school community and that the rules aim to ensure harmony at school. Protesters say female students are unfairly targeted by the rule and its application.
Because our education is what matters before anything else, right? And they're here suspending girls.
From the days of bans on pants for women, generations of students have challenged the sexism of dress codes. And several students say the reasons teachers gave them were inappropriate.
The boys can find your knee attracting, you have to change.
The students say there's only a few weeks left in this school year, so they don't understand why the crackdown is happening now. The school board says it has reminded staff that applying the rules must be done respectfully.
2% des élèves.
But Director General Yves-Michel Volsil says rules are applied to both girls and boys equally and prepare them for life in society at large. He also says that if students feel the rules need to be updated, they can address their concerns to the school committee. The students say by any measure, this rule is far from one size fits all. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Laval, Quebec.
Canada's defense minister admits there is more work to be done to boost defense spending. It comes in response to a tough letter written by top U.S. senators calling on the Trudeau government to step up.
I'd be able to assure those concerned senators that Canada will be a ready and capable ally.
The letter was signed by 23 senators, both Democrat and Republican, saying they're profoundly disappointed. Canada is supposed to spend 2% of total GDP on the military as part of our membership in NATO, but Canada has never reached that level and, in fact, is near the bottom compared to other NATO countries. Coming up, a new warning about processed foods.
This is about eating whole natural foods to protect our cognitive abilities and our brain health.
Bad for your body and for your brain. Plus, a true fall off the chair moment. French fries, cookies, donuts, all super tasty, all part of a group known as ultra-processed foods. Bad news for your waistline, yes, but according to new research, they may also be bad news for your brain. CTV's Heather Wright has more.
They are quick, convenient, and hard to avoid. Ultra-processed foods, things like chips, cookies, pop, and soup, are everywhere. And according to a new study, there's a direct link between how much you eat and your brain health. The study looked at 30,000 people in the United States and found those who consumed just 10% more ultra-processed foods increased their risk of stroke by 9% and cognitive impairment by 12%.
The downside is really coming into focus, not only with our study, but with all the others, is that there is a cost associated with that.
This is just the latest study to look at the dangers of ultra-processed foods, which experts say can lead to obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and early death. Food is considered ultra-processed when it goes through multiple processing steps, when nutrients are removed to make it last longer, and ingredients like sugar, salt, and chemicals are added.
In my 20s, I was classified as morbidly obese, and my diet was primarily ultra-processed foods.
Sandra Aaliyah says she ate as a way to self-soothe. She's now a food addiction counselor, helping people find better balance in their diets.
This is about eating whole natural foods to protect our cognitive abilities and our brain health.
It can be hard and expensive to remove ultra-processed foods from our diets. But the lead author of this study says making even small changes can have a big impact.
It's about gradually guiding and nudging yourself towards healthier choices over time.
Experts say when it comes to processed and packaged foods, it really is a spectrum, some better, some worse than others. That's why they say it's important to read the labels to understand the ingredients and, as often as possible, to cook at home. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
What would you do if you won $70 million? A man in Toronto literally fell out of his seat after seeing his bank account. Watch this.
Holy
There he goes. Craig Sheltos was in tears after receiving the money from a recent Lotto Max win. He wants to travel and pay for his kids' education and no doubt a whole lot more. Still ahead for us, the homecoming more than a century in the making. Preparations for the final journey of an unknown soldier. They're known as lost Canadians, thousands of people born outside of Canada who don't qualify for citizenship. Now the Trudeau government wants to give them passports.
Proposed legislation will extend citizenship by descent beyond the first generation in a way that is inclusive and upholds the value of our citizenship.
A new law would extend citizenship to people born outside the country to Canadian parents who were also born overseas. They lost that right back in 2009 under the Harper government, but an Ontario court found that change was unconstitutional. To France now, where preparations are underway to return the body of a soldier back home to Newfoundland and Labrador. He fought in World War I. At the time, Newfoundland was a British territory, not part of Canada. But tonight, Canadian officials are on the ground ahead of what will be an historic repatriation ceremony. CTV's Garrett Barry is with them.
Soldiers from the Royal Newfoundland Regiment are back in France this week, this time picking up a fallen ancestor at a ceremony in Beaumont-Hamel on Saturday. These hills still feel the wrath of artillery, scars from a battle that never really healed here or at home.
It was just purely catastrophic is the only word
I can think of it.
In the morning of July 1st, 1916, Newfoundlanders were ordered over the top. The battle quickly became the deadliest in the Royal Newfoundland Regiment's history. The battlefield was wide open, and the German machine guns were set on the few holes in the barbed wire that Newfoundlanders had to run through. Within mere minutes, 324 were killed. Another 386 were wounded. Some historians believe that Newfoundlanders never fired a single shot.
I've seen it said by soldiers. I've seen it said by historians, and I still don't know. It's hard to believe, but yet the massacre was just as hard to believe.
A generation of men in a small country dead or wounded. In total, more than 1,700 Newfoundlanders died in the First World War. Sean Goodyear is a descendant of 5 brothers who went away to fight. Only 2 came back.
Each one of them brought to the group a certain strength, either a stabilizing or a go-get sort situation. When the 3 boys were lost, there was a gap.
More than 800 Newfoundlanders died in the First World War with no known grave. Officials hope this unknown soldier will represent all of them.
After the remains are handed over on Saturday, Canadian forces will move immediately to head back to Canada and bring that soldier home for the first time in more than 100 years. Garrett Berry, CTV News in Beaumont-Hamel, France.
Coming up, untold gems go public. A rare look at precious pieces from the Canadian story. Finally for us tonight, going deep inside Canada's history, the public is going to get a rare look at vault-like storage facilities that hold millions of artifacts, all preserved and all catalogued. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver went inside for this sneak peek.
Inside these massive buildings are indispensable treasures that each tell a story about Canada's history.
We have the map that has the first time the word Canada was ever put on it. But then we also have things like we have a paper dress that was part of the 1968 campaign for Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
Those artifacts, just a few of the tens of millions carefully catalogued and stored by Library and Archives Canada that may be on display this weekend when the public gets a rare look inside.
I think we all know there isn't one history of Canada. There are many histories of Canada. And at Library and Archives Canada, we really want to reflect everyone's stories.
Yeah, the original is larger and is at Chateau Versailles.
The precious collection, largely housed in Gatineau, contains 425,000 works of art, 22 million books, the 2 original constitutions.
This is a photo album from 1879, 1880.
And millions of photographs, films, and government records. Any of the items stored inside their brand new net zero facility are all digitally cataloged and accessible by robots that move around 6 identical 7-story vaults. Each of these vaults is temperature and humidity controlled. It's also fireproof and designed to keep a single piece of paper in perfect condition for up to 500 years.
This is an Audubon print.
A state-of-the-art facility housing items whose access is usually tightly controlled. This Friday and Saturday, though, they'll be open to the public.
So they're going to get a chance to see some of the treasures in our collections because we do have the 5th largest collections in the world.
A collection built by Canadians for Canadians. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Gatineau.
Great stuff. And that's it for us tonight. I'm Todd Vanderheyden. For Omar Sachedina and all of us here at CTV National News, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your night.